Hello.
Hello there, Dan and Deanna here for your weekly card reading.
Oh, it's not weekly because we don't do this weekly.
We should. So, for a
Okay.
card
For
reading,
a card reading, it is August 2nd, 2026, and we feel called to do a sermon today about integrative healing, how God and the teachings of union are always with you wherever you go. And first, we're going to do a card reading.
without further ado, do you want to introduce our deck for the day?
So, the deck we're using, Dan picked out the deck today intuitively, and he picked Oracle of Jane Austen. I got this deck when I was working at Barnes and Noble, and it's a really beautiful deck. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it felt like a good grounded deck for talking about everyday life stuff. So, shall we dive in?
Yeah.
All right. Without further ado, first card, The Secret. You might soon be told a secret that could answer some questions left unanswered.
Um, Interesting. So I'll say what's coming up for me.
Mhm.
Um, if you want to say, actually, what's coming up for you first? Because a lot came up all at once, and
Well,
it's
a
hard.
couple things. Of course, The Secret. Most people when they hear The Secret, they think of the kind of groundbreaking law of attraction about
Yeah.
The Secret, which Dan and I have been working this in a big way, reading through Your Wish is Your Command and utilizing the teachings of union, which also use the power of attraction. When you understand that you create your reality, life becomes a miracle, and that's what this is pointing out to. So when we say you create your reality, it doesn't mean like you literally create every moment, because God's actually the ultimate creator, but you do choose. I want wealth, or I want whatever it is that you want. You choose it, and then you let God reveal the journey, and that's kind of like the surprise that it's talking about. Is like it's still a miracle, still is a wonder to behold. So when you activate your divine powers, which is uh, your power of choice and your power to create your reality, you start to live a miracle life where um, it's like God's literally revealing the secrets of the universe before you, and you get to kind of stand in awe of God as you walk your divine path. So if you're having questions, if there's things that you're wondering, things that you are, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to pay for this? Whatever questions or fears, I invite you to give those to God and let him show you the way, because God always has an answer, and God is always supporting you for greater your greater good. But this is about having to trust him, because it's kind of like God knows more than we do in a sense, and so it can feel like a secret, but it's really God saying, trust me that I'm taking care of you. What do you got?
Honestly, it's hard because probably an infinite amount of things just came to mind when that card was pulled. Like literally, my Asperger's is making like a trillion different connections, and I couldn't possibly speak to them all, or we'd be here for 50 years. So I guess what I'm going to say is, what do you think this card is saying in your life?
Hmm.
I could literally a million things, but what does this bring up for you?
What question do you want God to answer for you?
So this is the stance I'm going to take on this card, even though there's like a trillion different interpretations to it. Um, in regard to relationships with other people and friendships, um, communication, talking, and gossiping can either be a really powerful and healing thing that brings people closer, or it can be
Well,
something.
gossiping is always, it actually has negative connotations,
It
so
has
that'll
negative
never.
connotations, but historically speaking, gossip is how information was spread. And so I think we're all just refining what it means, um, to have. in integrity conversations, and making sure that the things we're saying to people and when we're saying them and how we're saying them is trying to further the purpose of oneness and healing. Um, because I think everybody, it's like the movie Mean Girls. Everybody talks to everybody about everything. Everybody has thoughts and opinions, and that's okay. Um, but figuring out the purpose of what you're saying and who you're saying it to, and making sure that it's about healing and that you're trying to, like, I don't think gossip is all bad. Like I said,
gossip by definition is talking
it has,
negatively about people.
sometimes you're just trying to figure out what's going on with someone or in a situation. And it's human nature to talk and share things. And I, as someone who really loves relationships and really prioritizes relationships, I love talking to people about anything and everything. I find so much God through relationships. Um, but I think, just being, I guess, I think everyone can go deeper in the when you're talking to someone, is what you're talking about furthering God's healing and direction.
There you go. 2 directions you can take this card. See what lands with you. Next card. The little voice of peace. I like this. Beyond reason and feelings, this small, discreet voice will guide you along the paths of peace.
Sorry, I can't make this reading take 50 years. So I just, hopefully, if you're watching this, everything that I didn't say was still communicated through my energy and my consciousness, because I could literally have talked about that for a really long time. But do your own meditation on this reading.
Yeah, so essentially, in Twin Flame Ascension School, Jeff says, the voice of fear or ego speaks loudest and first, and the voice of God or peace is the quiet voice. So you need to actually, this is about learning to tune your vibration to God. So that is the secret to a successful life, is you want to be attuned to God, because God is the source of your success and happiness. So you do, and what we desire more than anything at our core is peace. So this card is inviting you to attune your vibration to peace. Maybe there's a lot of loud fears and a lot of anxieties that are trying to scream at you. Those are not God's voice. God is always peaceful. God always has a peaceful way forward. And it is the most important thing. That's something that Jeff and Shalia teach. There's nothing more important for you to do for the benefit of all parts of your life is to attune to peace, because peace is the source of all blessings. So this card is inviting you, make peace a priority. And if there's a lot of noise in your life, take space, find a way to ground yourself every single day in the voice of peace. That will guide you on your path more powerfully than anything else can.
Yeah. And then my interpretation is really the image. I'm seeing the flowers, the roses, and the music. And what I'm getting from this is that at any point in time in any relationship, you can either listen to the voice that says, let's just make music together and go smell the roses, or let's find a big problem in our relationship and just completely trash God's will, um, and forget God's will. Um, That's what I'm getting.
But just know that you can always choose to be with God, and you're not beholden upon other people's choices. Other people's choices do not affect your ability to stay with God and to stay with peace and to stay on your path. Because if you stay with peace yourself, you will always prevail. Peace always prevails.
Yeah.
And final card, we have find your inner strength. It's not what we say or think that defines us, but what we do. Jane Austen, Sense and Sensibility. So this is about, and this is actually going to be very, very like related to our sermon. It's about, whatever spiritual practice for Dan and I, it's unionism and the teachings of union. Of course, like the first two cards, it's very important to attune yourself to God, to, do your spiritual practice, to, take in your spiritual teaching. But this card is about when the rubber really hits the road, is how do we live it in our life? That's where it gets really exciting too, because any spiritual teaching you take on, you will find opportunities to go deeper in that through the living of your life. And Dan and I are going to talk more about this in the coming sermon, how it literally, you can watch a class and it can come to life in your reality. So taking on a spiritual path is extremely powerful, and you'll find that opportunities to live and embody that will arise in your everyday life. You want to take those.
Yeah. Um, so this is deep. When you come across the teachings of union, you can do anything you want with them. It's really up to you. It's like if you find a good book at the bookstore and you read it, when you're done reading it, you can do anything you want with it. You can just move on with your life after you read the book, or you can maybe like you that book changes your life and your career path, or maybe um, you share the book with all of your friends, and you don't ever stop talking about it. Like, same thing when you find the teachings of union. You can do whatever you want with the teachings of union. I personally am not able to just pretend like, oh yeah, I found the teachings of union and now I'm going to go do something else with my life. That's not possible for me personally. Even though Dan and I have been banned from the Church of Union for um, how long?
Well, from physical participation, but we're not necessarily banned from the church, I would say.
6.5 years.
Yeah, six, I don't know, something like that.
We've never actually stopped living the teaching. When I have time to write my full autobiography, um, Dan and I just kept watching the teaching, and we kept manifesting miracles, and the teaching was alive with us and we were alive with it. It was almost like an experiment or something from God. Like, go take this teaching, be outside of the Church of Union technically, and what's going to happen? And like I said, when I write my full memoirs, like, it'll be obvious that like we've been with God the entire time. Um, but if you study this teaching, God's going to do things with you and ask you to do things. And God's going to take you on your journey. And it might look, why are you smiling?
Cyrus is barking at the cat or the birds.
He's barking at birds.
Go ahead.
Um, so just like, okay, I'm already getting to the sermon. I will leave that for later. The point is, the teachings of union can go with you and do go with you wherever you go. And however it shows up in your life, um, whatever, I'm really struggling right now. Um, Taking on this teaching is going to push you and guide you in a certain way. And but it's God shaping you.
Yeah, and you, of course, like Deanna said, you can do whatever you want with it, but what it's designed to do is to help you have your heaven on earth and to create every good thing in your life. And this find your inner strength is really pointing to, Jeff talks a lot about how when you take on a teaching, you will be tested in your mastery of it. And it's about living your life and trusting that like you will pass your tests, that you will show up and love, that you will show up, because when you choose to be with God, it's not just something you do when you're doing your spiritual practice. It's something you embody at all times, and God will be there in every part of your life, um, asking essentially, are you going to love me here? Are you going to be with me in this place? And so taking on a spiritual teaching, you've really found your inner strength when you can be that wherever God sends you.
Yeah. Can we pull one final card just because I
Sure.
feel like
And the fourth and final card is London. Your pronounced taste for entertainment could lead you off the beaten track. I think this card is just saying also enjoy your life, and probably also that the readings
travel.
travel,
It's about
enjoy your life.
traveling. It's about yeah, it's about not being stagnant.
Oh,
When
yes.
Dan and I were banned from the Church of Union, we didn't just squat at my mom's house and continue watching the classes and do nothing. We were very active. God pushed us. God pushed us so hard to integrate into society and bring the teachings with us. God doesn't want you to squat somewhere and just study all day. That's not what we're here for.
Yeah, and this also is about releasing control of your journey, because off the beaten track, it implies how we tend to
Off
judge.
the beaten track.
We tend to judge our journeys and think it's supposed to go a certain way. We have this vision and it has to be that or nothing else. But this is saying God has a greater vision. And actually, Kevin Trudeau talks about this, and I wish your wish is your command too. God has a bigger vision for your life than you could possibly have. And even if something seems really, a terrible, bad, oh my gosh, how could this have happened? You can bring God into any space. And this is letting you know that there's no beaten track that you can get on where you can't be with God and bring God there. So when you embark on a spiritual journey, you need to trust God with all parts of your life. And if you're like, I never thought I would end up here, I never thought this would happen, you have to trust that God sent you there, that is the perfect place for you to be.
God has people He wants you to meet. There are people whose lives you're supposed to impact. There are companies whose lives you are supposed to impact.
And just experiences you're meant to have for your own spiritual growth.
Let me tell you, the path that God has taken me on is so bizarre to me. It is so bizarre to me. But God's with us.
Yeah, the key with any spiritual practice is to bring God fully into whatever space you find. So if you find yourself judging in any way where you are, I invite you to release that and say, okay, this is perfect. This place is perfect with all the challenges, with all whatever might be a part of it. It's the perfect place for me to love myself and to go deeper in my journey with God. And miracles and blessings will come from this space when I do that.
Yeah. So just remember that this teaching is alive.
Amen. Does that feel complete? I mean, obviously, we have more to say, but stay
And
tuned for the sermon ahead. And
since the teaching is alive, you are alive. The teaching wants to live through you and experience life through you so that you can be a walking embodiment of it, not just a monk or a priest or not a priest. We all are priests and priestesses. We all need to be missionaries. But if I had just stayed at my mom's house and just kept watching the classes all these 6.5 years, my life would have felt absolutely fucking meaningless. It's the fact that we were in the world, but not of the world. And taking this teaching with us through all these experiences and meeting all of these people and having all of these in the moment healings, that's what makes it rewarding. So it's all about living
your best life. You're
Yeah.
meant to live an extraordinarily fulfilling life, and that is what the teachings of union promise.
Yeah. So thanks for watching our card reading.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you in our next video. Bye-bye.
In the sermon. We will see you in the sermon.